Chosen one, train your mind to attract unlimited wealth. Beloved, lean in with your whole heart, because what you are about to receive can shift the direction of your life. And if you allow distraction to steal these moments, you may miss a breakthrough that heaven has prepared for you long before this day arrived. This calling to train your mind is not about greed or pride, but about aligning your thoughts with my abundance, so that you no longer live beneath the promises I have spoken over you. When your mind is renewed in me, your life begins to reflect the richness of my kingdom, and doors that once seemed locked will quietly begin to open before your faithful steps. If this truth touches your heart and you stand in faith today, type Amen if you believe. You have been chosen, not randomly and not by accident, but intentionally formed to reflect my glory in every area of your life, including your provision, your influence, and your ability to create lasting impact in this world. Wealth in my kingdom begins in the soil of the mind, because your thoughts shape your expectations, and your expectations shape your actions in ways you often do not even notice. When fear rules your thinking, you shrink back from opportunity and you accept lack as normal. But when faith fills your mind, you begin to see possibility where others only see limitation. Before you continue, gently press like on this video so this word of hope can reach every heart that needs it today. I am teaching you that unlimited wealth is first a spiritual condition before it becomes a physical reality, and it flows from a heart that trusts me completely, even when circumstances appear small or uncertain. You were never created to think in terms of barely enough, because my nature within you is generous, creative, and overflowing with goodness that cannot be contained by scarcity. The enemy has tried to train your mind through disappointment, teaching you to expect less so that you would not be hurt again, yet I am now retraining your thoughts to expect increase rooted in righteousness and wisdom. As you open your spirit to this transformation and declare your confidence in my guidance over your life, type 1111 if you trust in God. My child, I want you to understand that attracting wealth in my way is not about chasing money with restless striving, but about becoming the kind of person who naturally draws opportunity because your mind is disciplined, peaceful, and filled with divine vision. When you meditate on my goodness and remind yourself daily that I am your source, your brain begins to release old patterns of doubt and forms new patterns of bold expectation grounded in faith. You begin to speak differently about your future, you begin to walk differently through challenges, and people sense the quiet confidence that flows from a soul anchored in me. This is how heaven's abundance starts to manifest on earth through you, not through frantic effort but through steady alignment. There were seasons when you felt overlooked and undervalued, and those experiences tried to convince you that you were destined to struggle endlessly without seeing the fruit of your labor. I saw every tear that fell in private places, and I heard every silent prayer whispered in the night when you wondered whether your life would ever change. I did not choose you to remain in cycles of lack, but to rise as a testimony of what happens when a heart trusts me enough to think differently and act boldly under my direction. Your past does not define your ceiling, because my plans for you stretch far beyond the limits that others placed upon your name. Training your mind means guarding what you allow to stay within your thoughts, because whatever you rehearse repeatedly becomes the foundation upon which you build your future. If you constantly replay memories of failure, your spirit grows heavy and hesitant, yet when you rehearse my promises of provision and favor, your courage expands and your creativity awakens. I am inviting you to replace every thought of impossibility with a declaration that I am able to do more than you can imagine through a surrendered and obedient heart. This is not positive thinking alone, but holy thinking, shaped by my truth and sustained by my presence. When you wake each morning, choose to see yourself as a steward of great blessings that are already on their way, even if you cannot yet hold them in your hands. Gratitude opens channels in your mind that fear tries to close, and thanksgiving shifts your focus from what is missing to what is already multiplying around you. As you thank me for small provisions, your awareness of my faithfulness grows stronger, and that awareness fuels wise decisions that lead to tangible increase. Wealth that comes from me carries peace within it, because it is not rooted in comparison or envy, but in purpose and service. I am shaping you into someone who understands that true prosperity includes wisdom, integrity, and compassion alongside financial growth. Money without character can wound the soul, but resources guided by love and humility become tools that heal families and transform communities. When your mind is trained by my spirit, you will not be controlled by wealth, but you will steward it with clarity and grace. You will give generously without fear, invest carefully without anxiety, and build steadily without losing your tenderness toward others. Stand firm in this truth that you are not chasing abundance alone, because I walk beside you as your provider, your teacher, and your unfailing source. Each disciplined thought, each prayerful decision, and each courageous step is planting seeds that will produce harvest beyond what you have known before. As you continue walking with me in this journey of renewal, I begin to work deeper within the hidden corners of your thinking, touching beliefs that were formed in quiet pain and reshaping them with my steady truth. There were ideas planted in you during seasons of struggle that whispered you were limited, that greatness was for others, and that your role was simply to survive rather than flourish. I am gently removing those lies, not with force but with love, and I am placing inside you a calm assurance that you were created to prosper in ways that reflect my glory. Your mind is becoming fertile ground where seeds of wisdom, creativity, and divine strategy are taking root and growing strong. Unlimited wealth in my kingdom is connected to vision, and vision grows clearer when your mind is disciplined and anchored in peace rather than scattered by fear. When you allow anxiety to dominate your thoughts, your focus becomes narrow and reactive, but when you rest in my presence, your awareness expands and you begin to see opportunities that once felt invisible. I am training you to pause before reacting, to listen before deciding, and to move with intention instead of haste, because steady wisdom attracts lasting increase. Wealth that endures is rarely built in moments of panic, but in seasons of quiet obedience and consistent faith. You are learning to think beyond immediate comfort and toward long-term impact, and that shift in perspective is already aligning you with greater provision than you have known before. When you invest your time wisely, when you sharpen your skills patiently, and when you serve others sincerely, you are positioning yourself within currents of favor that flow from my hand. I delight in blessing diligent hearts, because diligence shows that you value what I place before you and that you are ready to handle more. Type 2323 if you agree. There is a beautiful transformation happening inside you as you replace comparison with gratitude and as you release jealousy for celebration of others who are succeeding. Comparison shrinks your spirit and blinds you to your own path, yet gratitude opens your eyes to the unique calling and resources I have entrusted specifically to you. When you stop measuring your journey against someone else's timeline, you gain freedom to grow at the pace I have designed for your development. That freedom removes pressure from your mind and creates space for creative ideas that can generate streams of provision in ways you did not expect. I am also teaching you to speak about money and success with reverence and responsibility, because your words reinforce the patterns of your thinking. When you repeatedly declare that you are always broke or always unlucky, your mind begins to search for evidence to support those declarations. Yet when you speak with faith, acknowledging that I am guiding your steps toward abundance, your mind begins to align with solutions rather than excuses. Words shape atmosphere, and the atmosphere around your life influences the kind of opportunities that feel welcome to enter. My child, wealth is attracted to clarity, and clarity grows in a mind that is not cluttered by constant distraction and negative input. The world often fills your ears with noise about fear, recession, and hopelessness. And if you absorb that without discernment, it can slowly erode your confidence. I am calling you to guard your mental environment carefully, to limit what feeds doubt, and to increase what strengthens your trust in my provision. As you protect your thought life, you will notice that your ideas become sharper, your plans become more organized, and your confidence becomes more grounded. I am shaping you into a person who understands value deeply, not only the value of money, but the value of time, relationships, and integrity. When you treat time as a precious gift, you begin to use it intentionally rather than wastefully, and that discipline multiplies into tangible results over months and years. When you nurture relationships with honesty and kindness, you build networks of trust that can open doors to new opportunities and partnerships. Integrity creates a foundation strong enough to support greater financial growth without collapse. There may be moments when progress seems slow, and during those seasons the enemy will attempt to whisper that your efforts are pointless or unseen. I want you to remember that growth often happens beneath the surface, long before it becomes visible above the ground. Just as a seed develops roots in darkness before it ever breaks through soil, your disciplined thinking is forming deep stability that will sustain future increase. Nothing you practice in faith is wasted, because every aligned thought strengthens your capacity to receive and manage more. I am also guiding you to release guilt around prosperity, because some part of you may have believed that spiritual devotion required financial struggle. In my kingdom, prosperity and humility can walk together beautifully when the heart remains surrendered and generous. I do not desire for you to chase riches selfishly, but I do desire for you to have enough and more than enough to bless others and fulfill the assignments I place in your hands. When your motives are purified by love, wealth becomes a tool of service rather than a symbol of status. As your mind grows stronger in faith, you will find courage rising within you to take calculated risks that once felt too intimidating. Fear of failure kept you small before, yet now wisdom and preparation are replacing that fear with steady confidence. You will research carefully, plan thoughtfully, and move forward prayerfully, knowing that I am guiding each step and correcting you gently if adjustments are needed. This partnership between your effort and my guidance creates momentum that draws success closer with each obedient action. There is power in visualizing the future I have promised you, not as fantasy but as faith, anchored in my character and goodness. When you picture yourself thriving, giving generously, and living in peace, your brain begins to form pathways that support behaviors aligned with that vision. You start making decisions that match the life you are believing for, and over time those decisions accumulate into real transformation. This is how unlimited wealth begins to manifest, first in imagination, sanctified by faith, then in consistent action shaped by discipline. I want you to understand that setbacks are not signals of rejection, but opportunities for refinement and learning. When something does not succeed as planned, you are not abandoned or forgotten, but being trained to adapt and grow stronger. Resilience attracts success because it demonstrates maturity, and maturity reassures opportunity that you can handle both increase and challenge responsibly. Each time you rise again after disappointment, you strengthen your identity as someone who refuses to surrender their calling. Continue to seek my presence daily, because intimacy with me keeps your heart soft even as your influence expands. A hardened heart can misuse wealth, but a tender heart guided by love will always find ways to uplift and support others. As you grow financially, remain rooted spiritually, and your prosperity will carry peace instead of pride. I am building both your character and your capacity at the same time, ensuring that when greater abundance arrives, you are fully prepared to steward it wisely. The more you align your thoughts with hope, discipline, gratitude, and vision, the more your outer world will begin to reflect that inner transformation. You will notice subtle shifts first, small opportunities, new ideas, unexpected connections, and steady improvements that confirm you are moving in the right direction. Celebrate those small victories, because they are signs that your training is working and that your faith is producing fruit. Type yes to affirm. I am proud of the quiet determination you are showing, even when no one else sees the internal battles you are winning and the old habits you are overcoming. Every moment you choose faith over fear and wisdom over impulse, you are strengthening the foundation of a life marked by abundance and purpose. Deep inside, you sometimes felt unworthy of great success, as though abundance was reserved for others who were more talented, more connected, or more fortunate than you. I am rewriting that belief with truth, because you are my creation, formed with intention and breathed into with divine purpose that carries value beyond measure. When you understand your worth through my eyes, your mind stops rejecting opportunities that were meant to elevate your life. Unlimited wealth flows more easily toward those who believe they are capable of stewarding it wisely, and that belief grows from knowing who you are in me. You are not an accident trying to survive in a harsh world, but a chosen vessel learning to navigate life with faith, discipline, and courage. As you embrace this identity, your posture changes, your conversations change, and even your decisions begin to reflect quiet confidence rather than hidden insecurity. Type 2020 to claim miracles. I am teaching you that wealth responds to responsibility, and responsibility begins in the small unseen choices you make each day. When you manage little things with care, when you honor commitments faithfully, and when you show up consistently, even when no one applauds you, you are building credibility in both the spiritual and practical realms. Credibility attracts trust, and trust opens doors to resources, partnerships, and ideas that multiply beyond your individual effort. This steady faithfulness may feel simple, yet it is powerful in shaping a future filled with provision. You must also release the habit of self-sabotage that once protected you from disappointment, but now limits your growth. There were times when you hesitated at the edge of opportunity, convincing yourself that failure was inevitable so that you would not feel the sting of unmet expectation. I am strengthening your courage so that you no longer retreat from growth, but step forward with prayerful boldness and wise preparation. The more you act in alignment with faith, the less control fear will have over your potential. Wealth that endures requires emotional stability, and I am calming storms inside you that once caused impulsive decisions and unnecessary risk. When your emotions ruled unchecked, you sometimes reacted to pressure rather than responding with wisdom, and that created patterns of instability. Now I am grounding you in peace, so that your decisions are thoughtful, strategic, and aligned with long-term vision. Peace attracts clarity, and clarity supports prosperity that grows steadily instead of collapsing suddenly. Your environment also matters deeply, and I am guiding you to surround yourself with voices that uplift rather than diminish your dreams. Conversations filled with constant negativity can slowly drain confidence and distort perspective, yet encouragement rooted in truth can spark creativity and resilience. Seek relationships that challenge you to grow, that hold you accountable to excellence, and that celebrate progress without envy. When your circle supports your calling, your mind becomes stronger and your vision sharper. I am awakening in you a spirit of generosity that does not wait for excess but begins even in small amounts, because generosity shifts your mindset from fear of loss to trust in overflow. When you give wisely and joyfully, you train your mind to believe that there is always more coming, and that belief aligns with my nature as your provider. Generosity keeps your heart open and prevents wealth from becoming an idol that competes with devotion. As you practice giving, you will discover that your sense of abundance expands far beyond numbers on a page. There will be moments when comparison tries to return, whispering that others are advancing faster or achieving more visible success. Resist that temptation firmly, because your journey is uniquely designed and cannot be measured by another person's timeline. I am crafting your path carefully, aligning experiences, lessons, and connections in ways that fit your destiny precisely. When you trust my timing, you release unnecessary pressure and focus fully on the assignments placed before you. I want you to develop patience that is active rather than passive, because waiting in faith does not mean inactivity, but preparation. Use seasons of quiet growth to learn new skills, refine your plans, and strengthen your discipline so that when larger opportunities appear, you are ready to handle them with excellence. Preparation attracts opportunity because it signals readiness, and readiness invites increase. You are not behind, you are being prepared thoroughly for a level of impact that requires maturity. Your thoughts about risk are also being reshaped, because wise risk under my guidance is different from reckless impulse driven by emotion. I will nudge you towards steps that stretch your comfort zone while still honoring wisdom and careful planning. As you respond obediently, you will see how courage opens doors that hesitation once kept closed. Courage, combined with prayer and research, creates movement that leads toward growth rather than regret. There is a creative power within your mind that reflects my image, and I am stirring it awake so that ideas begin to flow more freely than before. Solutions to problems, concepts for new ventures, and strategies for improvement will rise within you as you remain attentive and disciplined. Creativity thrives in a mind that is not burdened by constant doubt, so continue replacing negative inner dialogue with declarations of possibility anchored in faith. Type 1212 if you walk by faith. I am also strengthening your resilience so that temporary losses do not define your future direction. Every successful path includes moments of correction and adjustment, and those moments are not signs of failure but part of refinement. When you treat setbacks as lessons rather than verdicts, you transform obstacles into stepping stones toward greater wisdom. This mature perspective allows you to move forward without carrying shame that would otherwise slow your progress. Your financial growth will increasingly reflect your spiritual growth, because alignment between the two creates harmony rather than inner conflict. As you grow closer to me, your desires become purified and your motivations clearer, which ensures that your pursuit of wealth remains grounded in purpose. Purpose-driven prosperity carries a deeper satisfaction than accumulation alone, because it fulfills both practical needs and spiritual calling. I am not simply increasing your resources, I am expanding your capacity to influence and bless. Continue training your mind daily through gratitude, discipline, study, and prayer, because consistency builds momentum that compounds over time. Small improvements repeated faithfully can transform entire seasons of life, and you are already seeing the early signs of that transformation. Celebrate progress without becoming complacent, and remain humble without diminishing your growth. You are rising steadily into a new level of understanding and stewardship. Unlimited wealth for the chosen one is not merely financial freedom, but freedom from limiting beliefs, freedom from fear-driven decisions, and freedom to live generously with purpose. As your mind remains aligned with my truth, your actions will follow with strength and clarity. I am now teaching you to simplify your mind, to center your thoughts on what truly matters, and to release the habit of constantly chasing every new idea without finishing what I placed before you. When your focus becomes steady, your progress becomes measurable, and measurable progress builds confidence that attracts greater opportunity. Unlimited wealth often hides behind consistency rather than sudden bursts of effort, and consistency grows from a mind that understands the power of small repeated actions. When you commit to daily improvement in your skills, your knowledge, and your habits, you create a rhythm that compounds quietly yet powerfully over months and years. Many abandon their path because results are not immediate, yet I am strengthening you to remain faithful long enough to see the harvest. Faithfulness over time creates stability, and stability invites trust from others who may one day partner with you in larger ventures. I am also correcting the belief that you must exhaust yourself to succeed, because striving without rest weakens clarity and drains creativity. True prosperity flows best from a balanced mind that knows when to work diligently and when to pause for renewal in my presence. Rest is not laziness, but wisdom that protects your long-term effectiveness and preserves your emotional health. When you operate from rest instead of panic, your decisions carry calm strength rather than desperate urgency. You are learning to detach your self-worth from temporary outcomes, and this freedom protects you from emotional extremes that once influenced your choices. When success arrived, you sometimes felt inflated, and when challenges appeared, you sometimes felt defeated. Yet I am anchoring you in a steady identity rooted in my love. This steady identity allows you to handle both gain and loss with maturity, which builds resilience that attracts sustainable wealth. Stability in character is more valuable than sudden profit, because it ensures that what you build can endure. Your habits around money are also being transformed, because discipline in spending, saving, and investing reflects the discipline of your mind. When you track your resources carefully and make intentional decisions rather than impulsive ones, you demonstrate readiness for increase. I delight in entrusting more to those who respect what they already hold, because stewardship signals maturity. As you practice wise management consistently, you create space for growth without unnecessary stress. There is wisdom in learning from others who have walked paths of integrity and perseverance before you, and I am guiding you toward mentors, books, and teachings that align with your values. Absorb knowledge humbly, apply it diligently, and refine it through prayerful reflection so that it becomes personal rather than borrowed. Growth accelerates when you combine experience with guidance, yet humility keeps your heart teachable and open. A teachable mind expands continuously, and expansion of understanding leads naturally to expansion of opportunity. You must also release the fear of visibility that once caused you to hide your gifts, because wealth often follows value that is clearly seen and appreciated. I have placed abilities within you that can serve others meaningfully, yet if you remain hidden out of insecurity, those abilities cannot generate the impact they were designed to create. Step forward with confidence tempered by humility, allowing your work to speak with excellence rather than arrogance. When you offer genuine value, recognition and reward will follow in due time. I am strengthening your patience in negotiation and decision-making, because rushing into agreements out of anxiety can cost more than waiting for clarity. Trust that what is truly aligned with your purpose will not require desperate compromise of your principles. When you negotiate from a place of confidence rather than fear, you protect both your integrity and your future. Wisdom in these moments often determines whether wealth becomes a blessing or a burden. Your emotional intelligence is also increasing, allowing you to understand people more clearly and respond with empathy while maintaining healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries protect your time, energy, and resources from being drained by demands that do not align with your calling. Compassion does not require overextension, and generosity does not require neglecting your own responsibilities. As you balance kindness with discernment, you build relationships rooted in mutual respect rather than imbalance. I am reminding you that your journey toward abundance is not a competition, but a collaboration with me, and collaboration requires trust that I am guiding unseen details. There will be moments when you do not understand why certain doors remain closed, yet those closures protect you from distractions or partnerships that would have slowed your growth. Trust that redirection is often protection in disguise, shaping your path more precisely than you could design alone. When you surrender outcomes to my wisdom, your mind rests in peace while your hands continue working diligently. Your creativity will continue expanding as you give yourself permission to think beyond conventional limits, yet always grounded in ethical principles and service to others. Innovation often arises from seeing familiar problems through a fresh lens, and your renewed mind allows you to perceive opportunities that others overlook. As you experiment thoughtfully and refine patiently, you may discover streams of income and influence that align perfectly with your skills and passions. Type 1919 to receive miracles. Never forget that the ultimate purpose of unlimited wealth is not accumulation but impact, because resources are tools entrusted to you for blessing lives beyond your own comfort. When your heart remains aligned with compassion and generosity, your success becomes a testimony of my faithfulness rather than a monument to self-effort. You will find joy not only in achieving goals, but in witnessing how your growth uplifts others and inspires hope. This perspective keeps your pursuit pure and your spirit grateful. Continue strengthening your mind through daily reflection, prayer, and intentional learning, because growth is a lifelong journey rather than a single achievement. Celebrate milestones without settling into complacency, and embrace challenges as invitations to refine your strategy and deepen your trust. Many begin with passion and high expectation, yet only those who remain steady through uncertainty reach the fullness of what was promised. I am teaching you to stay grounded when progress feels slow, to remain faithful when recognition is delayed, and to continue refining your mind even when external results seem small.